The reality is that Social Security is on a death spiral. If something doesn't change, benefits for everyone are going to be cut by roughly 28%, and that's the Social Security estimate. Yesterday, for the first time in a long time, there was talk about looking at a system that might save Social Security.
And today, we're going to talk about that. My name is Josh Inahosa, and I am an independent advisor representative for SWAN DFW. That stands for Sleep Well at Night, Dallas, Fort Worth. And I am here with, we're going to say, America's certified financial planner.
That's what I would say.
Hector and Josh.
Good morning.
Hector started SWAN a while ago and has been doing this for an even longer time.
Yes, right. 1993.
Yeah. So, new model, you said, from Australia.
Yeah.
I guess let's set this up. Okay. So let's briefly talk about, because we have full episodes on this, but like a 90-second version, what is happening to Social Security that it's in a death spiral? Okay.
So a couple things. First, the good thing, I think, is that life expectancy is getting longer and longer. For me, that's a good thing. Yeah. All right. Second, bad thing, birth rates are lower and have been lower since about the early 60s. So what that means is there's fewer people coming into Social Security to fund it, and the people that are on Social Security are living longer and longer. And so to keep the system as it is without making any changes except higher taxes, young people like yourself will eventually have to pay 3 or 4 times more in Social Security tax than what they're paying in income tax. But then all of a sudden 67% of a paycheck is going to go to taxes, and that's just not realistic. So something has to change. And the people that are the most concerned when politicians start to talk about change are those of us that are over 65. But the reality is we're the ones that are most at risk, because if something doesn't change, the benefits will be cut for us by some 28% or more.
Yeah, so I think and we've talked about this at length, but just to mention it on this podcast, when people say Social Security is going to run out of money, it's not entirely true. It's not going to run out of money completely. Like, you're never going to get 0% of your benefit. You're always going to get some percentage of.
That's a really good point. When people on TV especially, or on the radio, when they talk about this, they talk about Social Security going broke. Well, what they're really talking about is that the overage that's been in the Social Security Trust Fund will be spent. We're spending everything that's coming in right now from all the Social Security taxes that everybody's paying, plus we're using some of the overage. When it goes broke, means the overage has gone to zero. But you're still going to have millions and millions of people working after that overage goes to zero. And it's that amount of money that can only fund about 72% of what we're asking it to fund right now. So it's never going to be like a Montgomery Ward or a Blockbuster where it's there one day and gone the next. It'll be a reduced benefit. But the people who get most scared when we start talking about changes to Social Security are those people on Social Security. And it's those people that if we don't change it, their benefits are going to be cut. And sadly, a large portion of our population depends on Social Security just to maintain their lifestyle, just to keep living. So we have to change it, and I'm just glad somebody's talking about it.
Yeah, so let's talk about what they're talking about. You mentioned in the intro the Trump administration recently, this will be a few days old in the news as you all are watching this, but they were talking about a way to maybe change that. Why don't you give like the skeleton of what that change might look like?
Yeah. So right now in Australia, what they're doing is they're taking about 12%. If you go to work for somebody, the employer puts 12% of your income into a locked up retirement account that's invested in. You have choices of several different funds, I think 4 or 5, very similar to what our thrift saver plan for federal employees is. And it's locked up. You can't touch it, because that's the other problem with 401ks and stuff. People start them and then they have to do something and they take the money. This one you can't touch. It's locked up. It's your money in your account for your retirement, and then at around 65-ish, you start taking a monthly income. And so that's their retirement, and then there's a lot of advantages to that. We'll circle back and see what the advantages are. Today, with our Social Security, we're funding it at a little over 12%, except the employer puts in 6% and a little bit, and the employee puts in 6% and a little bit. We just finished watching the Friends episode where, I can't remember the girl's name that was going to get married. Gets her
Jennifer Aniston's character.
Yes, she gets her first paycheck and wants to know who this FICA guy is taking all her money. Well, that's Social Security. So 12% roughly is going in to fund our current Social Security system. So that number is about the same. The difference is right now when your money goes into the Social Security system, it's not in your account. It goes in, it's the big pool of money for everybody's account. Mm-hmm. And it's that big pool of money that's paying everybody's Social Security benefit. The advantage, one of the huge advantages to how Australia's doing it is if you take a benefit for a year and you die, whatever's left in your account goes to your beneficiaries. Different than how we're set up here trying to maintain this deal is if you take 1 year's worth of benefits, you paid for 30 years, you retire and you're out jogging on your first day of retirement and you get hit by a bus and die. All of that money stays in the system to pay for those other people that are living to be 90 and 100 years old. Mm-hmm. Your beneficiary gets $255, which is not a lot of money.
Sure.
So that's wealth generating 2 or 3 generations. America's wealth for families should be way better than it is today.
Yeah. So I think that's a good look as to like how they're doing it and why they're doing it. How does the math work out on that?
Well, if we were starting from scratch, it's simple. You would say, well, they're using 12%. We're doing 12%. Let's just do that. The challenge is if I'm eligible for benefits at 67 and I'm 66 and you change all the rules today, it's not gonna work well for me.
Sure.
So it's going to be in the transition that there's some thought that's going to have to be paid. I've had a plan for 30 years, but nobody will listen to me and nobody will pay for me. But with this plan, if you just take this plan, which is kind of what I had in mind anyway, and you said, okay, anybody say 60 and older stays on the old plan. Nothing changes, right? Between 50 and 60 or some number there, you get the choice. You can run the numbers for yourself, have a financial planner, kind of like we are, run the numbers for you, and then when you get math involved, the answer becomes self-evident. You'll be able to say, yeah, I think the new plan's better for me, or I want to stay on the old plan. So you get a choice at, say, 50 to 60 or whatever the ages are. And then anybody under 50 or 45 or whatever that number is on the new plan. And that means, let's say that 50 is the number and everybody's living to 80. That in 30 years, the Social Security system as we have it right now will kind of end because the 50-year-olds will be living to life expectancy. And this huge burden is gone. The trick is, how do we finance that debt? Because you're going to have fewer people paying into it. Some people are saying, well, why don't we, I thought for me would be, what if we took of the 12% that's going in, what if we took 4% and kept funding the other deal and just let the new people do 8%. There's a number in there when the number crunchers get together where we can do this. And it would be good. It would be good because we can keep the benefits for our older Americans that really need Social Security. But it would be really good for the younger Americans, people 40 and under. They'll have a system that they know is going to be there, and it's going to be their money when they retire, and more importantly, when they pass, they'll be able to leave money for their family.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that we should drive home if you are close to retirement is I don't think the rules if you are within, say, a few years of taking Social Security, are going to change for you, right? This is for people that are just starting their career or in the middle of their career.
Or even 40 years old. You give this thing 25 years, you'll have way more money in this new system than you would in Social Security. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, anybody within 15 to 20 years, you're exactly right.
Yeah, I would worry that that's what people are going to take from, the news article headline of, the administration wants to end Social Security.
Yeah.
Right. So then everybody's going to be up in arms, but that's not what's happening. That's not what's being pitched.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it can't happen that way. But there's finally somebody talking about, we have to change something. Now, the second Bush administration, George W. Bush, they came up with a plan very similar to this, but they didn't message it right because it got shot down. Because all people heard was, you're going to cut off my Social Security and now I'm going to start to eat cat food for the rest of my life or something. And that's not at all what they were saying. And it's not, and there's been no details, it's not like it's just, I read the article. It was posted on CNN on December the 3rd. And I'm just grateful that, somebody's finally talking about, we have to come up with a solution. And this is a good place to start. Two huge problems in America nobody talks about is Social Security and our deficit. Now, see, our deficit, since we're here solving all the problems of the world, let me solve this one too. Freeze spending. Every budget gets frozen in the United States for everything. So if you're a military person and your deal was $1 million in 2025, in 2026, it's going to be $1 million. And in 2027, it's going to be $1 million. Doesn't mean you can't buy new toys and do all that. Mm-hmm. Just like in a household, you have to go back and decide what you're not going to spend, but you're going to have $1 million to spend. If we just freeze the spending, we'll grow. And the first thing we got to do is not have a deficit. And then we'll start coming down on the debt that we have. So that's believe it or not, I think a simpler solution than Social Security, but they can be done. But they're two very separate things. So, but I think Social Security talking about this like they are, I hope, and taking it seriously, I think would be a good thing if it's messaged correctly and people understand, especially baby boomers, that it's really a good thing for us.
Yeah,
because our benefit will stay the same.
Yes. Sidebar question.
Yes.
Just to be clear, you're out on eating cat food.
Yeah, I think I read a nutritional value thing.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly, but I didn't finish the article because...
Yeah, I could see why people would be up in arms about that back in the second Bush administration.
Yeah, it's all about how you message things. And I think messaged correctly and care given to make sure... Mm-hmm. I think this is as good a plan as ever that's going to come down the pipe. The main takeaways are Social Security gets fixed in the long run. People on Social Security are not going to get, put out in the cold. And young people have, you talk to most young people and all they tell you is, well, Social Security is not going to be there when I get there. Mm-hmm. And now we'll have a plan that will work. And everybody will be happy.
Yeah. So if you all have questions about your current financial situation or retirement goals, hit us up. We have a couple different ways that you can do that. The first way is via phone number, and that is 888-792-6339 or 888-SWAN-DFW. Or we have an email address, and that is info@swandfw.net. So,
man, this we just had a great Thanksgiving, headed towards Christmas season. This truly is the greatest time of the year. Merry Christmas. Hope to see you back next week.
Yep. The preceding content is informational only and based on information available when created. It is not an offer or solicitation, nor is it tax or legal advice. It does not consider your financial circumstances and objectives and may not be suitable for you.